Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about lifting heavy and the older lifter. And I'm making this as someone who is a full-time coach who is 47, and you guys have seen me, deadlift over 600 pounds. You guys have seen me pause bench 365, all this stuff in my late 40s. And there's a lot of lessons I have with this and things that I have noted. And one of the things that I have to say for your older lifters, and I'm talking 35 to 40 plus, as you start to get a little bit older, have to understand that lifting too heavy too often really becomes a detriment in the sense of we have to set our ego lifting to the side. And I'm not saying we can't lift heavy. Like I said, you guys have seen me deadlift over 600 pounds. I've even done like a 605 beltless, right? But we need some context for this. Really, I would say most of your focus needs to be on volume work, quality volume, hypertrophy, things like that. Okay? You're going to be bigger, stronger, and with less injuries if you put most of your efforts into muscle building. Okay? Put your efforts into body composition. And I'm not saying we can't lift heavy, but here's what I would say with lifting heavy. Really grindy reps, other than maybe on a powerlifting platform, I would say be careful of them. Maybe even avoid them. Yeah? Because we don't have to go much over 90% of our max for one rep to get transference to a one rep max. In other words, if you're trying to get really strong, and I'm not saying you can occasionally, even if you don't compete, can't do a true one rep max just to appease your ego, just to know where you are. I get that, and I don't think done on occasion that's a bad thing. If you're having a great day, recovery's on point, no tendons hurt, you know what I mean? But outside of that, what I would say to guys, be very careful of heavy limit sets, first of all. This is a point where heavy triples, heavy fives, heavy sixes really can cause a lot of problems for you because we tend to let form degrade on those things. We tend to get beat up by those things. Okay, this is the stuff that buries us. We don't tolerate those things well as we get older, just in terms of recovery. We don't. And again, because we're not always as resilient. Tendons can get injured easier. We don't bounce back the same from certain injuries. We tend to hurt from stuff like this. And the solution to that is just simply not beat yourself up with this stuff. So again, even if you're going to do, limit sets, be careful with them. Always leave a rep in the tank. Don't chase bad form. Use safety arms. Don't grind through something and let your squat lean forward too much, or one side drift really low and shift under a bench press, or let the bars go into a disadvantaged position. There's no point in it. And if we're going to do heavy, I would say, honestly, heavy singles is probably the way to go. I've done it both ways, and I can tell you, you do not recover the same. Okay? You do not recover the same. I can honestly say doing limit sets with 315 or 335 fatigued me way more on the bench than just doing a nice long pause, even though it was heavy with 365. Just in terms of the fatigue that it created. And then the point is, we don't necessarily need that training adaptation. Sure, we could argue those reps are going to build more muscle, but you could be building muscle with your rep work, right? We could be building muscle with our rep work, with our hypertrophy work, our lighter stuff anyways. And so think about that in terms of the strength. Do our heavy singles need to be that heavy? If your goal is to lift 500 pounds on the lift, singles with 450 or 460 will absolutely get you there, even when you're close to 500 in your capacity. Right? Come in and do training maxes. Question how many you need to do. Do you even need to do more than one training max in a training session? Do we need to do multiple singles? Do we need to do multiple lifts? I don't know that we do. Maybe just pick a squat or a deadlift. You're still going to get stronger. Hey, same thing with the upper body stuff. You know, fine, pick a bench press, pick a floor press. If you're running conjugate, of course, you can rotate through things. But again, the same principle applies here. Watch those all-out grindy reps. Nice, clean, perfect form singles that are in that 90% range will absolutely carry over to your maximum strength. And you don't need that many of them. I mean, you really don't. Maybe one in a training session. If you're running normal conjugate, you do 2 a week. Everything else outside of that, you would do better focusing upon building muscle, building tissue, building mobility. What does that mean? Nice full range of motion exercises, right? Exercises that take our joints through a full range of motion, and that usually requires us to go a bit lighter. So it's overall easier, trains mobility, trains the joints, trains the connective tissue. We lose mobility very, very quickly as we age as lifters. It's one of the things I've noticed. We get a lot of things that get tight, minor injuries add up. We have to watch those things, and we've got to do these stretch position movements. Okay, you need to get those joints into deep angles, get the muscles into the deep lengthened positions for a significant number of repetitions. Okay? Set the ego lifting to the side. And again, I'm not saying you can't lift heavy or do some singles and even occasionally do a true max, but it needs to be tempered with common sense. It needs to be tempered with common sense. And remember, your key in this, the long game, is to build tissue up. To maintain mobility, maintain range of motion, build lean tissue, put your focus there. That will increase your strength. That will keep you in the game longer. But coming in all these heavy limit sets in the 3, 4, 5, 6 rep range, doing a 3x3, not checking your ego, this is the stuff that will get you. Too much use of knee wraps, some supportive equipment that can be detrimental if you're not careful. Right? Be aware of these things. Be aware of these things. They can create problems for you because, again, the goal is to stay injury free. The goal is to train smarter as we get older. And that means, again, checking our ego. And it's hard for us to do as men. But it has to be done if we want to play the long game. And again, there's no reason you can't still do some heavy lifting and get strong. But it needs to be a much, much smaller part of your training. And again, this has been my observation over many years of doing this. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.